Hi there, it's Dave from Little Acorns Forest Schools Limited. So today we're using sheath knives, a fixed blade knife. This is made by a company called Mora, and in my opinion, they're made by it's a Swedish make. In my opinion, they are probably the industry standard. This is a Mora companion. Okay, you either get a carbon or a stainless steel blade with this one. The carbon blades will hold an edge better, okay, but they are a little bit more expensive. That's the trade-off. Okay. Again, with sheath knives, I will always use a fixed blade rather than a folding knife because it reduces that risk of injury. Okay, and this is one of the last tools which I'll put into the program because it's so close. Okay, that when you're working with the knife, it's possible for you to get injured. All right, which is why this comes in right at the end of the program. With all tools, here's the tool talk. So this is a sheath knife. This is the handle, this is the blade cover. I take the blade cover off like this. This is the blade, and this bit is the cutting edge. When I'm not using the sheath knife, I replace it back into the cover like this. I hold the sheath knife like this, and I walk with it like this. I hand it over like this. I use the sheath knife for whittling wood or cutting string. I use the sheath knife down and away from my body each time, every time. I use the sheath knife 2 arms and a tool length away from anybody else. I always wear a glove on my helper hand. When I'm not using the sheath knife, I place it down on the ground so that the handle faces forward and the blade points towards me. And when I finish using the sheath knife, I replace it back into the sharps box. So the Mora companion. We mentioned about sharps box. Now this is slightly different insofar as to keep ourselves compliant with UK knife law. Our knife, when we're finished with it, should go in a lockable box which is locked. And all the sheath knives go inside there when we're not using them. Okay. The reason we do this, as I say, to keep ourselves compliant with UK knife law, but also knives are one of the things which a lot of people get quite excited about. All right, and what we're trying to instill within our children is that the knife is used for work, woodworking, okay, rather than whatever else they're going to get up to. Okay, so the decent knife there, Mora. Okay, count the knives out and make sure you count them back in again at the end of the session. You are always 1-to-1 to start off with, as per any tool, and you are always 2 arms and a tool length away from anybody else. And that is from the end of the blade there to the end of my hand there. Okay, that's the 2 arms and a tool length. The only exception to that, which I can see, is if you're whittling wood on a and you haven't got much room in your forest school area. So I can sit down here on this one and I can whittle wood this way. And similarly, if I had another person here facing away from me, so back to back, and this way I can work that way. Okay, and that would what I would think is the only time when you would get children closer together. Apart from that, you have to have dedicated sort of like what I would call tool stations or tool areas where you've got the children marked out in little areas. Okay, and this can work quite nicely for them. All right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go over to here where we split our wood before. All right, and what we're going to do this time is I'm going to show you how to use the knife. Okay. All right then, so we've got our small piece of wood which we've cut. We want to split this down and we want to do a little bit of carving with it. So to start off with then, same sort of detail which we've done with the axe in the past. All right, we're trying to split this down a little bit. This piece of wood, I think by looks of it, is older, and the older should split nicely for us. So here we go. I'm using the mallet onto the fixed blade, and this is why it needs to be a fixed blade. And I'm going to use this nice and gently to split the wood. There we go. Once I've split the wood, what I'm looking for now, and what I've got on here, if you can see now, I'm looking for a nice straight edge. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make what we call a feather stick or a fairy stick. Okay, the way that I'm going to do that is I'm going to go over the top of my leg and place wood onto wood like so. In fact, what I'll do is I'll place it into there like that. So it's going to keep nice and steady. I use I hold the knife like what we call a boxer sort of grip. So a full hand like that. Steady the stick which I'm going to be cutting. And then what I'm going to do is just gently rub the blade up and down the edge like that. Then what I do is I just increase the angle slightly. And you can see I start getting these really tiny little shaves of wood. As you can see, as I'm starting to do this, I am using the top part of the blade, okay, to make this. Okay, here we go. And what I'm doing is I'm creating, and what I will be probably doing with this one is making this for fire. Again, we're thinking about the advanced firelighting techniques. You've seen the one already with the fat wood. All right, if I haven't got any dry wood, if I split the wood that I've got, generally the stuff in the middle, unless it's submerged, is going to be dry. And the more I can do this, the better I can get some kindling to take and start the fire. Okay. Once I've done this bit, okay, you can see where the curls have started to get a lot bigger. All right, I'll go on to the other side now. There we go. Start making those curls up. The more pressure I put on the blade, the thicker the curls are, which is not necessarily always the good thing. Okay, I'm just starting to speed up a little bit. You don't need to speed this action up, and when you're teaching children or adults, come to that, as we teach a lot of our adults on the level 3 training course, make feather sticks. We then show them how to light, so it's quite a good instructional process. Okay, as you can see from here, I've got a load of curls there on there. I've got lots of different shapes and sizes on there, so when I come to do the fire lighting, I can light that straight away. As you can see with the knife, once I start to direct the blade, okay, I've got this boxer grip with it and it's nice and steady. Okay, if I want to direct the blade any more, I can put my thumb on the top of the blade like that and just start to do that. If I use this part of the blade, the end, it won't be as accurate. So I always use this part up where it says more a knife, okay? And you can just carry on like that. All right then, there we go. Okay, there we go. Some people in the bushcraft world will advocate you hammering your knife into the wood like that, and then using the piece of wood which you're using a feather stick on like that. I prefer not to use that method because I find that if I can direct the blade, okay, then that makes it a lot more accurate. Okay, so I've got this little bit to finish off with here. Look. Okay. So we've come to the end of our session now. We've used our knives, all right, and then now we come to the cleaning part of it. First of all, like with any tool, okay, we have a quick inspection to make sure it's not damaged in any way, all right, and then what we're going to use is the wire wool here to clean off the blade, like so. And then what we're going to do is we're going to use our diamond sharpening stone here to give ourselves a good clean. Okay, so the way we could do this now, then, we don't have to use gloves on here. We lay the blade flat, we angle it up once and then once more so that we're getting the edge of the blade, and then we push the blade away from us like so. I've used that 5 times there. I turn the blade over. As you can see from here, okay, the edge of the blade is nice and sharp. Now it's nice and shiny, so that says that's good. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 0.5. There we go. With this diamond sharpening stone, as we work down, okay, and the different colors, they get progressively finer, so you can get a really good point with this. Okay, with these knives you should be able to cut paper, and this is the way to test to make sure that the knife is sharp enough. Please do not use your fingers, try and shave some hair off your hand or whatever. Okay, there's no need to do that, I don't think. If you've got a piece of paper, you can cut down. If it cuts the paper, great. You can get it into an even finer sort of sharpness, okay, which you should be able to shave bits of paper off the top. Okay, and that's a way of making sure that you've got your knife sharp. Once we finish them, I'm going to give it a quick squirt into the sheath and then replace that back, and then that goes into the toolbox, into our lockable box. Thanks for watching.